Oh, howdy, everybody. Sam Goodman from the Hop Nerd LLC and the Hop Nerd podcast over at www.thehopnerd.com. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit quickly around this idea of learning teams and learning explorations. So let's just jump right in and talk about what a learning team is. A learning team can kind of quickly be defined as a way of looking at safety, quality, operational excellence differently by involving and empowering those that actually GSD, those that get stuff done. To simplify its use just a little bit farther, learning teams are a great tool that involves the folks that do the stuff that we want to know more about to allow us to know more about that stuff. They can be used pretty much anywhere that we want to learn more or we need to learn more. We think about stuff like post-event, post-surprise, which is those are all great opportunities to learn more about those events. It's a great opportunity to use learning teams, but normal work, right? Pre-event, thinking about things like pain points and struggles and frustrations and things that we just want to know more about. Like, how does that actually get done? It's this understanding that we up through the organization really don't have a lot of knowledge around the reality that people face down through the organization, down towards the pointy end. Learning teams allow us to tap into that lived reality. The basic steps, the super basic steps of a learning team is basically learn, soak, and improve. But if we want to take that a little bit farther into the 5 steps of a learning team, we can say prepare, learn, soak, improve, and act. So we want to prepare for our learning team. We want to think about what we want to learn about. We should probably hone in on that. We need to go out and have our first session, which shouldn't take like all day. Like for me, I'll see this more like 90 minutes probably on about average. I don't want to throw out any like super prescriptive kind of ideas here, but most of these sessions, as I facilitate learning teams, take no more than an hour, maybe 2. So during that first session, we just want to discover as much as we can about normal work. If it's an event, about the context that's surrounding the event. It's all just focused on learning. And you got to be a little cautious here because as people, we like to just jump into fix-it mode. So as a facilitator, you have to apply a little bit of caution there. You got to kind of herd the cats out of fix-it mode and just focus on learning, which moves us over to that soak time. So again, the way that I usually do this in practice is I'll have a meeting one day, I'll have soak time in between, do the next session the next day. Not saying you can't play with that formula. You need to probably find what works best for you. But again, from best practice, that's what I've seen work just about the best. And the reason why is because if you're anything like me, you have those weird 2 a.m. thoughts where you're laying there in bed, not being able to sleep. The melatonin hasn't kicked in yet. You're still amped up from your coffee from the day. And at 2 a.m., I'm going, oh man, I should have said that. Oh no, why didn't I bring that up? That's the point. So as we come back into that second meeting, into our improvement session, we start that meeting off continuing down the path of learning mode, just for a smidge, just for a little bit, and then we transition into fixes. That's where this team can start talking about how we can work on better all that stuff that we've discovered, which then moves us into action. And whichever way your organization tracks actions, does all that kind of sort of stuff, I think most of it's pretty benign unless it works counter to our human and organization performance principles, unless it creates a bunch of headache or makes it super duper hard and people just don't use it, right? That's probably a whole nother conversation. But we're in this action mode. That's where we get to carry that stuff forward. We get to try, storm, and micro experiment and kind of work our way through bringing those ideas of betterment to life within our organizations. Again, learning teams can be used anytime that you need to learn more about something. Things like events, interesting successes, particular pain points. Those are all great areas to dig deep. Now, a learning exploration is something that we use here at the Hop Nerd LLC, and it's a little bit of a less granular method to kind of start, right? It's the casting of a wide net. It's when we're going down that path and going, I feel like we need to know more about this. I feel like there's a problem here, but I just don't know exactly what it is. Or maybe it's like we started doing things a little differently. We started doing human and organizational performance within our organization, and I want to see how it's going. This is getting past all that kind of survey garbage, the stuff we send out emails and think people are going to tell us like really good, deep information. Yeah, right. Threw up in my mouth, right? And you did too. Like you just delete those things, right? So this is going out and listening to folks in more of a broad sense. It's starting with these kind of open-ended questions of like, hey, tell me something that's like really dumb that we make you do to work here every day. and just rolling with it. Or again, this idea of maybe seeing where we're at with maybe our changes. Hey, we started doing things differently within our organization. What's changed for you in your day-to-day job? Is it better? Is it worse? It's just that. It's just that. And these are more fast kind of hit and run things. This isn't like session, soak time session. This is just going out and listening. It's the mixing of kind of this concept of listening sessions and learning teams into this thing that we're calling learning explorations. And it's very similar to conducting a learning team, again, with that notable exception being the absence of a second session and soak time. We're not seeking to solve problems here. We're trying to learn more about problems that we do not yet have knowledge of. So this is listening and triage more than deep dives. This gives us the opportunity to go out and do more deeper explorations through the application of learning teams or other operational learning tools to seek to remedy the things that we discover within our learning exploration. So it's this idea of taking it just a little bit broader, a little bit more chaos than even what our learning teams have. Listening for areas to dig deep. So as we're talking about learning explorations, as I said, we're listening for these rich opportunities, rich starting points for organizational betterment. It usually sounds like this, like things never work right with this. That thing never works right. It's way too hard to. I don't know why it's so dumb that we have to make do with. We can't get blah, 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 and on and on and on. Those are all great areas to just dig a little bit deeper with the learning exploration. And then as you uncover those more specific areas, dive in that much deeper with a learning team. So some of the key points here is that the use of learning teams, learning explorations, you can use those for anything that you would like to learn more about within your organization. Pay close attention to normal work. Those are great areas to start as well. And that's what I wanted to really throw in here is don't be afraid to go out and try these things on for size. And if you're not super comfortable doing it post-event, post like big boom, kapow, surprise kind of stuff, learning from normal work is like the most perfect place to start because it's low risk, high reward. And then you get to take that story and tell that story of rich contextual information up through your organization and show the value of learning teams. So just go out and start with that question. What's harder than it should be? Got it. Let's do a learning team around that. Just try it. Just give it a shot. Try it on for size. Be cautious as you start to maybe operationalize learning teams and learning explorations that you don't put too much structure or rigidity around these processes. That's one of the biggest missteps that I see with organizations is that we take learning teams, we take this kind of hop journey and we want to do it. We want to roll it out the way that we always roll out or do safety stuff. And that usually means like 1,000-page procedure, like a super prescriptive ABCD 1, 2, 3, follow steps 1 through 2004 if you want to have a successful learning team and be in compliance with the way that our organization does learning teams. They're a little chaotic. That's kind of the point. They're not linear. They're not super like point A to point B. It allows us to go where the learning takes us. That's why they're highly valuable. So be fearful of too much structure, too much rigidity around the process. And I can't say this is enough. Do not be afraid to get started. Start small, experiment, and then go big, then go far and wide. I've written some books on this stuff. My most recent being the 10 Ideas to Make Safety Suck Less. If you want to check those out, you can find them on Amazon. You can find links to them over on my website, www.thehopnerd.com. And from these HOP principles, from these ideas of safety differently, those 10 ideas were kind of born, and we specialize at the Hop Nerd LLC in bringing human and organizational performance to life and to operationalizing it. And that's what those 10 ideas really focus on. It's kind of this call to action, these actionable statements that take these ideas and help us bring them into practice in the real world. Here at the Hop Nerd, we believe that human and organizational performance is a fundamental shift in how we view people, moving from viewing them as problems to viewing them as problem solvers. I offer all kinds of help with this stuff, from fundamentals training to learning teams, both training and facilitation, to planning within safety, hop and culture, speaking and events. If you need somebody to bring a little bit of bringing a little bit of life to your next corporate event, to your next conference, to your next company gathering. I'd love to help you out with that as well. We do learning explorations and offer all kinds of bespoke services and solutions to help you go farther on this human and organizational performance journey. If you'd like to work together, I would love to work with you to bring these concepts to life. Head over to www.thehopnerd.com. Send me an email, thehopnerd@gmail.com, or send me a text phone call at 480-521-5893. I look forward to hearing from you.